Chris, go back in time for everybody. So after that, how did you get out of your contract? Because you left early, right?
Well, no, I didn't leave early. What happened was, around that time, because Bischoff obviously didn't know about this meeting with Vince. Nobody knew. I kept it total secret. It never got out. But I had this meeting with Eric at a couple months beforehand, where he wanted to re-sign me, because my deal was originally 3 years, and this was after 2 years, and he wanted to re-sign me early. And I had just turned heel, and I had done the thing with Goldberg, where Goldberg didn't want to work with me, and it just turned into a real mess. So I knew that there was really no reason to stay in WCW, because even if I had this great storyline with Goldberg, where they put me in a match with a midget Goldberg, and I claimed it was the real Goldberg, and I beat him, so then Goldberg's streak was broken. It was Jericho 1, Goldberg 0.
Yeah.
And then the next week I came out and challenged him to come fight me in the ring right there, even though I knew he wasn't in the building. So I had a 10 count, 10 count. He couldn't make the call, so I win again. Jericho 2, Goldberg 0. So I kind of co-created with Terry Taylor this whole little angle of mine where I was brewing this feud with Goldberg that he wasn't really involved with. And he didn't like that, Goldberg. He thought it was comedy, and he was getting mad at me. And I'm like, dude, go talk to the bookers. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm just doing what I can do. And meanwhile,
I love that.
Fans had signs in the crowd, Jericho 4, Goldberg 0, or Goldberg's going to kill you, or Goldberg. And my idea was, I'll do this angle, and then we'll have a pay-per-view match, and then he can squash me, but it'll be like the greatest squash match of all time.
Yeah.
I'd seen this squash match that the Road Warriors had with Pat Tanaka and Paul Diamond. And it was like the best match I'd ever seen, but it was a total squash.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pat Tanaka was so good at just selling everything. And, so that was what my idea was. And that was kind of the tentative plan. So, long story short, I showed up one day in Phoenix for Nitro, and they said, you're working with Goldberg tonight. And I said, well, what's the finish? They said, same finish as every night. He, jackhammers and spears you in a minute. And I said, well, why are we doing this? We just built up these last 4 weeks of, me claiming that I beat Goldberg 4 times. I thought we were going to do this on a pay-per-view. And they said, no, we're not going to do it. And I said to myself, I was thinking, you know what? I'm standing up for myself because I know this is good and I know it can draw money. And I just said, no, I'm not doing it. And I remember, I think it was Terry Taylor said, it's never bad to lose to the world champion. I mean, it's a good thing. You're losing to the world champ. I said, not in a minute. I said, we're doing a pay-per-view. We're doing the 5-minute squash, just like we talked about. I'm not doing it. And then I went and hid. I went and hid in the upstairs. It's a trick I learned from Benoit. I went and hid upstairs until the show started. They couldn't find me, and they just forgot about it. So I didn't have to do it. Typical WCW disorganized. So then the next week I show up in Long Island.
That's great.
Just hide, right? So the next week I show up in Long Island, and they said the same thing. They said, okay, Jericho versus Goldberg, he's going to pin you in a minute. I was like, no, we're not doing this. And so I got called into a meeting in Long Island at the Uniondale Coliseum. And it was me and Goldberg and Bischoff and Hogan. Hogan was in there for some reason.
Yeah.
And, at the time, once again, I'm a nobody, man. I'm just trying to make my way, and I'm intimidated by Bischoff and by Hogan. Like, that's Hulk Hogan. I never had any real interaction with Hulk at that point in time. So the three of them were basically yelling at me, like, why are you refusing to do a job to Goldberg? And why are you doing this? And who do you think you are? And I was like, I'm not refusing to do a job for Goldberg. I'm just sticking to the plan, to this angle that got over. Look at the signs in the crowd. Because Jimmy Hart told me, he said, the only way you can really judge how fans are reacting to something is by the chants that they give in the ring and by the signs that they bring. They make their own signs. They bring them to the arena. We have nothing to do with it. So you can always tell what's getting over by the signs that people are holding up. And I thought that was a pretty good point. So I took that to heart. And I said, look at all these signs in the crowd. They're waiting for this match. They want to see Goldberg kill me, so let's make him pay for it. I got nothing else going on. Bill's not doing anything. So, and then Goldberg was just flipping out. He's like, I'm the guy that stands in the sparks. I breathe in smoke. I breathe in sparks. I breathe in fire. I'm the world champ. And I was like, yeah, if I kick you in the nuts right now, you'll go down just like everybody else. And this.
Well, you did. Didn't you have to choke him out or something?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you the story in a bit, but Bischoff goes, hey, calm down, boys. You guys shouldn't be fighting. And then Hogan actually was like, okay, well, he has a point here. What do you suggest we do tonight, Chris? And I said, well, let me go to the ring. I'll do a promo with Mean Gene. I'll once again brag that, Goldberg's scared of me and he's not here. And then midway through my promo, do a split screen where Goldberg shows up in the arena and sees me in the ring and flips out and comes down to the ring. And as he's walking down the aisle, I'll be walking down the aisle with my back to the entranceway, like basking in the glory of the fans. And when I turn around, have Goldberg do like a 30-yard dash and spear me in the aisleway, like the biggest spear of all time.
Yeah.
And then after that, he challenges me to the pay-per-view, and then at the pay-per-view, he kills me. And actually, Hulk was like, that's a great idea, and Eric agreed to it, and Goldberg agreed to it, and that's what we did, and it was great. He speared me right down the aisle and just murdered me, and it was so cool. And then I had him gorilla press me like into the guardrail, and just really whip my ass. And then he's like, then I'll see you at the pay-per-view. And then the final story is I show up at the pay-per-view, and Bill's not there. He decided to go hunting instead. So I worked with Bobby Duncan Jr., and that was the end of it. I never had a
Bill went. Where was I? I must have been in the bar at the hotel.
Maybe you were.
I don't remember that because back in those days, man, I was just, as you know, I was ducking, hiding, punching. I never thought about hiding upstairs that they couldn't find me. Damn it.
Yeah. That was an old
because
trick.
I was putting over everybody. Goldberg. Goldberg was the least of my problems. I was trying to get away from Conan. God. Jesus. Oh, Chris, go back in time for everybody. So after that, how did you get out of your contract? Because you left early, right?
Well, no, I didn't leave early. What happened was, around that time, because Bischoff obviously didn't know about this meeting with Vince. Nobody knew. I kept it total secret. It never got out. But I had this meeting with Eric at a couple months beforehand.